தக்காளி பழத்தோடும் வந்திருக்கின்ற மிண்டோ மக்களை என்னை வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்பதில் நான் மிகவும் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். இன்னைக்கு என்னுடைய சகோதரர் ஸ்ரீட வீட்டில் தான் தங்குகின்றோம். மத்தியானம் வந்து இறங்கின பொழுது he asked me whether I want a room with a double bed or whether I want a room with two single beds. I said after the jokes, when I come back tonight, I may probably need to sleep on two single beds. I'm going to மிகவும் நெருங்கிய நண்பர் ஊர்மிளா அவர்கள் என்ன கேட்டார், ஒரு ஜோக் சொல்லிக்குள்ள ஒரு பாட்டும் பாடியுமோன்னு சொல்லி நான் ஒரு சில வரிகளை ஒரு எனக்கு மிகவும் பிடித்தமான ஒரு பாடல்கிட்ட ஒரு 2 வரிகளை பாடிவிட்டு என்னுடைய காமெடியை ஆங்கிலத்தில் செய்வதாக தீர்மானிக்கிறேன். என்னுடைய மிகவும் விரும்பிய பாட்டு வந்து முல்லை மலர் மேலே என்ற அருமையான ஒரு பாட்டு. அதில் 2 வரிகளை ஊர்மிளா அக்கா என்னை கேட்டபடியால் அவருக்காக இதை பாடுகிறேன். முல்லை மலர் மேலே மைக்கும் பண்டு போலே, முல்லை மலர் மேலே மைக்கும் பண்டு போலே, முல்லை முருகன் மேலே முக்கப்பண்டில் மேலே, முல்லை முருகன் மேலே முக்கப்பண்டில் மேலே, உலகுற பாடுது தன் கண்ணாலே, முல்லை முருகன் மேலே முக்கப்பண்டில் மேலே. I'm going to do my comedy in English. Let me say this is comedy. Everyone must take this as a comedy, and there is no offense to anybody at all. Let me say, Tony Abbott always speak against racism, and he had been saying he's against racism in Australia. If anyone found to be racist, he will shirt front them. So it is very encouraging for us as a community that is living in Australia. It's very encouraging to see the Prime Minister saying he is against racism, and if anyone found to be racism, he will shirt front them. I don't know what is really shirt front. Everyone now arguing and discussing what is shirt front mean. But anyway, it's a very encouraging thing that the head office of the government is speaking against racism. But as you know, racism, is it going to ever disappear? You know, when we have the white cars driving with the black tires, the racism still continue to exist. When you have washing machines, you got to wash the white clothes before we can wash the colored clothes. So, when you see the people wear white clothes to wedding and then wear the black clothes to funerals. When you see people who are not paying their bills, they are called blacklisted people, but they are not called whitelisted people. So it shows that the racism will continue to live amongst our society until we change the usual daily things also. You know what? The one important thing that touched my heart is when Robert Mugabe said one day that amongst all the racism in the world, the one balancing act for him is that we can wipe our shit with a white collar tissue. But one day, Prime Minister Modi and President Obama sitting in a bar in New York, and they were chatting, and then this fellow walked into the bar and he noticed the 2 gentlemen sitting there. So he thought, we will go and say hello, and he went and say, "Hi guys, what are you doing in America?" Obama then said, look, we are planning a Third World War. Oh, so what are you going to do with the Third World War? President Obama said, actually, Prime Minister Modi said, oh, we're going to kill 14 million Pakistanis and one cycle repairman. So this guy got so stunned and surprised. Oh, why the one bicycle repairman? So the Indian Prime Minister turned to Obama and said, see, I told you, we can kill any millions of Pakistanis, but if you kill one bicycle repairman, that's when the people worry about it. The other day, a gentleman was taking his dog for a walk and in the New York park, and he found another bull terrier was trying to attack a young girl who was also in the park. So this fellow, then he left his dog and he went and ran to help this girl, and then in that struggle he somehow killed that bull terrier as well. So the policeman who was watching that, he came up to that man and said, hey, you are a real hero. Tomorrow in all the newspapers it's going to say the New Yorkman saved a young girl's life by killing the dog. He said, I'm not a New Yorkman. So the policeman said, I think don't worry about it. In the newspaper will say, brave American saves the young girl by killing the dog. And this fellow said, no, I'm not an American. So the policeman then asked, what are you? So he said, oh, I'm a Pakistani. So the next day the newspaper's headline is, Pakistani terrorist kills an American dog. The other day, not really, the other day, when in the 2011, I think, when the Pentagon was bombed and the attack against the Pentagon, the next day, the Chinese Prime Minister calls the President Bush at the time and he says, look, I'm really deeply sorry what this had happened, and I'm sure this is a big tragedy for the Americans. If there's anything we can help you, China is willing to help you. And if you're missing any documents in Pentagon, let me know, then I can find you the copies. We already have lots of copies of what you have in Pentagon. So, the things about marriage, everyone, for example, my wife, after being married to me for 25, 27 years, 32 years, she asked me the other day, what do you think about me? You've been married for too long. I said, I looked at her and I said, you are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. She said, what is that? Then I said, A, you're adorable, B, beautiful, C, charming, D, delightful, elegant, D for F for foxy, and D for whatever, E for elegant, and G for gorgeous. Good. And so then she said, okay, so that's fine, darling. Then she asked, what is the K for IJK? And I said, I was kidding. Anyway, so my eldest son got married early this year. A lot of you will know, and some of you even turned up the wedding. And last year he was thinking and planning the wedding. So he asked me, Father, I'm thinking of getting married. I got a few questions. So I said, yeah, what is it about? And he said, first of all, I'm thinking, what would it cost to get married or something? I'm trying to save some money and so forth. So I said,
I can't really help you because, you know, it can cost you heaps, and because, you know, I'm still paying for my marriage, so. So then he said, is it true, Daddy, that when in the ancient China, when the men marry women, the man never know anything about the women? And I said, yeah, but that's true. But that is true for anybody and everybody, you know, until they're married, they don't know what the woman they're marrying. Then he said, why is it then, Daddy, that people can't have a second marriage? So I told him, man, you know that according to the law, someone should be punished only for once, you know? So you know, that is probably why the Australian law and everybody protects the men, you know? So just have to go through the punishment process. Yeah. Then I told him also, you know, he asked me,
it's very important that you understand what is complete and what is finished. So he said, what's the difference between a complete and a finish? I said, if you marry the right person, then you are a complete person. But if you marry the wrong person, then you're finished. But then I also told him that if the right person see you with the wrong person, then you are completely finished. And then I also told him, you know, it's women are like, you know, why is it that the hurricanes, you know, Hurricane Jean, why these hurricanes are named after women, you know, Hurricane Jeannie or Jean, that sort of thing. So I said, yeah, the hurricanes, when they come, they are wet and wild, but when they leave, they take your house and the cars and everything. So I just want to talk about my friend, Madasami. He's a very good, long-standing friend of mine. So one day, you know, he went to a shop and bought a butter and came home, and then he realized, oh, I only got the butter, I'm missing my free good also. So he went back to the shop and he shouted at the shopkeeper and said, oh, you cheated me. And so the shopkeeper asked, sir, so why did I cheat you? So I bought a butter and there was no free good. Oh, so the shopkeeper said, oh, we don't give any free good with the butter. He said, no, the butter is saying cholesterol free, so where is my free good? The other day he went shopping again, and then he went to the electrical shop or so, and he bought a radio. The radio, he looked for radios, and then he finally picked a radio which said, made in Japan. So he was very happy, you know, he thinks that a Japanese radio gives you more music than a radio made in China or something. So he's very happy, he came home and turned the radio on, and then to see, oh, there's something wrong with the radio. So he take it back to the shop again next day morning, and he's shouting that shopkeeper and saying, you cheated me. What did I cheat this time? He said, look, I bought a radio with the label Japan. And when I turned it on, the radio is saying, All India radios. And this Madasami is a character, right? Yeah? So one day, a friend of him visited from America, so this guy take him to the local museum, and then he's showing him around, and the friend seen a skull there. So he asked Madasami, what's this skull? Madasami said, that's the skull of the king Rajasingha. Then they walked and go past, and then they found another small skull. So this friend asked Madasami, what's this skull? Then he said, that is when King Rajasingha, when he was small. And Madasami finally tried and got a job. So he got a job, and then the very first day went there, spent the whole day, and then he worked till late evening, and then his boss was very happy. This guy is really committed to the work, and then he said, he goes up to him and said, oh, you on the very first day you worked so hard, so what did you do to all day today? So this fellow said, Madasami said, oh, I found the alphabets in the keyboard are all in not order, so I made all the alphabets in order. You know, when you're dealing with women, there's always you take a sensible approach, I would think, right? Yeah, I was at a court fairly recently. I just wanted to see what happens in a court environment. I went there, and there was a case started to proceed. So the two lawyers, the defense lawyer and the prosecutor, they both came, and then the judge came. So soon after the judge came, the judge said, okay, we should start the proceeding now. So then the prosecutor came, looked at the defense lawyer and said, you are a fool. So the defense lawyer looked at the prosecutor and said, you are a damn fool. So the judge said, okay, now both the solicitors have introduced themselves, so we should be able to start the case. So the case started. So what was the case about? The case was about a divorce and a custody. So the judge asked the lady first, all right, we are going to grant you the divorce, but about the custody, tell me, why do you want to keep the children with you? The women said, look, I gave birth for the children, so they came through me, and therefore I want to keep the children. So judge then said, looked at the man, and he said, I need to know what's your reason why you want to have the children yourself. So this fellow paused for a moment, and then he said, Judge, when I put $1 in the drinks vending machine, I get a Pepsi can. So why is it that I put something in my wife and I get a baby, why can't I keep the baby? So don't ask me. The judge said, oh, I can see the logic, and he granted the children custody with the man. Just to wrap it up, this is a real story, I would say. This guy had been working in America, so he writes back to his wife and said, darling, this month, with all the global financial crisis, my company is really struggling, so they haven't really paid me this month, so this time I'm sending you 100 kisses. So he sends a letter with 100 kisses. So the wife received the letter, and then she writes back and said, Nanbulla Abdan, Ase Abdan, thank you for your 100 kisses. By the way, this is my itemized expenditure, and she says, I spent, milkman came and he was asking for money, for the money, so I said, I gave him 2 kisses every day when he delivered the milk. The electricity man knocked on my door and said, you haven't paid the electricity yet, and so I have to give him 20 kisses to get the electricity reconnected. Then the landlord comes and knocks on me and say, oh, you haven't paid the rent. So I then looked at it and said, what about 30 kisses? And he was so happy, so I gave him 30 kisses. So, and then finally the grocery man, he started sending the guy and said, oh, your grocery bill is growing, you haven't paid. So I invited the grocery man, and he came and said, the kisses are not enough for me. So I said, what about a few more something? So he was happy, so I gave him something as well in addition to the balance of the kisses. So is that okay, darling? By the way, do you want me to continue this for the next month? And she wrote back and said, that's it then. And that was the end of my story, and that is the end of my story.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Another round of applause. That was very funny. I love it. Uncle was awesome. Well done, Uncle.